So today we're on the beautiful A Beat on Tulchan, and somewhat unusually I'm going to have a wee cast here myself today. It never happens, but this is the year of the change, and so we've got the slop and the dew pool here, and what a day, eh? Spring day on the Spey. I mean, how does that look? Pretty good, eh? So A beat here's a really interesting beat. For me, it's a really good spring beat, and it's a really good high water beat. Got Andrew over there having a wee cast. We've got Stephen up in the slop, or I think he's out just at the moment. Then we've got this battery pool, and I'm just going to wait to hear a wee start on this battery pool, and we'll see how it goes. Might as well just leave the camera running just to see. So the weapon of choice today, it was either going to be this one, which is the cadence rod, but it's like the bespoke one. Strange, a lot of folk think this is a fiberglass rod. It's not. This one is made down in Wales. Ross James puts this one together for us, and that is basically done to your spec. This one is the 14'6" cadence rod. I've got it set up with our intermediate shooting head, with a wee sink tip on it and quite a heavy tube. We've got 1'3" of water here today, so I'm thinking first run down it's going to be with the slightly heavier stuff. We'll go with the tube and the intermediate line, so we'll see what happens. Anyway, so I don't think I've actually ever fished this pool myself. I've been here dozens of times with clients, but I don't think I've ever fished this pool myself. So I'm kind of looking forward to this. And John's been really good. He's a good old pal, and has given me this pool first time doing. Looks a wee bit on the heavy side. You can see the concrete path is just under the water there. So I would say that we'd really want the concrete path showing. But here, in an ideal world, that might be the case. Fly fishing's very often not an ideal world. In fact, most of the time it's not an ideal world. So anyway, I think we'll just crack on down here. Hopefully I'm still getting some reception with the camera. We'll just come down a wee bit here. I'll see if the I think the microphone's still working. So I'm not going right to the very top. John might kill me for doing that, for not doing that. But I'm just going kind of halfway down, and I'm just going to slowly pay out the line, because there's a bit just right close to this battery or wall that seems to be a really good place when the water's higher, you know. And a lot of the times when people just start casting, pull out all their line and start casting, they've missed the first bit of fishing very close to them here. So I'm going to just fish this first one down here. I think it's actually my headset I've got on that's out of the range of the camera. I'm sure my microphone isn't, so we'll see. So we've got an intermediate line with a 10-foot fast sinking tip on it, 1'3" on the gauge today, and I've got a wee breeze coming downstream here. The breeze coming downstream isn't strong enough to really put me off my single spey. Ideally, if you're making a single spey cast, I can feel it gusting there. Ideally, if you were making a single spey cast, you wouldn't do that with a downstream wind. And the reason for that is if I circle up that and do the classic spey cast there, where I circle the rod tip up, then I have to give the D-loop time to develop if I use that technique. However, if I use my own technique, which is the torpedo technique, where the rod doesn't really circle up as such, it carries on through a horizontal and just turns and out. Basically, using that particular method, what happens is that I don't need to wait for the D-loop to develop. I am the master of the D-loop. The D-loop is not the master of me, i.e. I've not got to wait for the D-loop and have the potential of that D-loop to be taken by the wind, because if I make a continuous movement, like you'll see here, then the D-loop is made when I use that torpedo analogy. I make the rod go through a horizontal, and then I just quickly turn around, but all at the same speed. And it's that little turn that makes the D-loop, you know. So unlike this one, which I'll do this time, which is the classic Spey, where we circle up and we wait for the D-loop, and then we go, you can see that it's still perfectly good cast, no problem at all. However, as I was waiting, if I got a gust of wind, then I would have been in trouble. Absolute trouble. Because the gust of wind would have thrown the D-loop into me. If I lost my anchor, the fly could have come up and hooked into my ear or my eyes or wherever, you know. But if I make this continual move, so we've got an intermediate line, slowly lifting it here. If I make that continuous move, even though I've got a downstream wind, it's not going to matter too much at all because it's safe. Kobe beef. Yes, he's a good boy, Kobe dog. So, tackle. So what have I got? I've got a 14'6" rod. I've got a 10 weight intermediate shooting head, and 14'6" 6-piece cadence rod, and this is my weapon of choice for today. Well, for now anyway. Sometimes you'll get a situation, especially with this height of water, you'll get a situation where you'll have a pool that will carry an intermediate line perfectly, no trouble at all, where the current's nice and even. However, if you are fishing a pool where you might have a stronger current in the middle and a very, very slow current off, then what happens is the intermediate line sinks too much and the fly doesn't then fish as well as it would with a sinking tip where you've got a floating line. Yep. And so this place where the current's nice and even all the way from one side to the next, great spring pool. It's a classic spring pool, this one. Current's very even all the way across. A wee bit more heavy down the middle, but very, very even. So it carries any form of sunk line really, really well. This sunk line is as I say, like an intermediate. I've got a fast sinking tip on it. The fly that I've got on today on this one is a swallow, and I've had a lot of success over the years with that swallow fly in the spring when we've got cold but still clear water. So yeah, that's what it is, and it's all about enjoying it. Why am I using a 14'6" rod on a pool like this, with the river at the height that it is today? There's not just one part of the pool that I would say this is a really good chance of fish in this part. There could be fish all the way across this pool. So I'm going to cast a line of about maybe I don't know, 30 yards long, and I'm going to fish a nice 30-yard sweep down. It's about 30 yards. A nice 30-yard sweep down into the whole pool, all the way down. Yeah, so that's it, and that's what I'm going to do. So we shall see what happens. Possibly there might be a fish line down here, you never know. But it's just one of these fantastic Spey pools where, as I say, the current is really lovely and even all the way across, and particularly when we get down a little at this height. I think there's a really good chance of a fish. There's been one or two fish showing, one or two fish being caught down in the Aberlour area. There were a couple of fish yesterday, and I think there was one at Craigellachie as well. We had one on D Beat as well on Tulchan yesterday here, so we know that there are definitely fish pushing through here just now, and so the level of anticipation is up. The date, 22nd of March. So, or is it the 21st? I can't just remember. I think it's maybe. Anyway, somewhere around there. But so we've got the Equinox. The Equinox, I reckon, for salmon fishing, and most of Scotland anyway. I don't know if it'll be the same elsewhere, but certainly most of Scotland. You're actually, if you have good conditions, you're actually looking for a fish. You're coming down looking for a fish after this equinox. I don't know why that should be. I've no idea, but that is the case. You know, you're physically looking for a fish during this or after the equinox. I reckon it's just nature, and always seem to have a run of fish around that time. You know, so I'm fishing down here with a good. I'm anticipating a fish, put it like that. So we shall see. We shall see. Time will tell. There have not been as many fish this year as this time last year, but the fish that we have been catching, there was a nice fish of about 15 pounds caught on the Aberlour water yesterday. A laddie got a cracking fish, but most of the fish have been just the usual sort of 2C winter fish, 8.5, 9 pounds, that kind of thing. Most of the fish have been that size, although early in the season there were one or two really good fish, which were obviously 3C winter fish in the high teens and low 20s. 3C winter fish just now, and in the good old days, back in the old 50s and 60s, there were quite a number of these 3C winter fish. So it wasn't unusual to catch quite a lot of these bigger fish. And in the Tay, they still catch quite a number of these bigger fish early doors. But over the last sort of 30 years, the bigger fish have, there not just been as many of them, but it's nice to see a few more this year. The old guys, funnily enough, said that they really liked, this is on the Spey and on the D, that they really liked seeing lots of smaller fish. So in the D, fish of maybe 5, 6, 7 pounds, something like that, early doors, February, March time. They really liked that. They always said it was a good sign for the season ahead. I have to say, during my time on the Spey, so that's kind of 1970s through to now, I would say that would ring true. I would say that if you have lots of these smaller fish, then it often is a good sign, because basically the small fish that come into the river right now are 2C winter fish. So they're like fish that haven't come back last year as grilse. They've stayed another winter. They've not, because the feeding in the winter. Rio, because the feeding in the winter is not as good as obviously the spring and summer. Then the fish tend not to put on the same weight in the winter. So you'll have a fish that comes in February that might be much the same size as a grilse would have been if it came in, say, August, September, when we had the old runs of autumn fish. So I think it's good to see nice numbers of small fish. That's what we're looking for just now. Having said that, I would still quite like a big one as well. I wouldn't say no to a 20 pounder. I think I'd be looking for my mate John, because he was a tricky bank. There's a wee bit just at the end of the battery here that might manage to beach such a fish. I remember a pal of mine a few years ago breaking his rod trying to beach a fish just in this place. but it is a classic place for a fish, and a really, really classic place to catch one as well. Beautiful. So, that you may have heard the wee of the reel, and that's the new Cadence reel. It's our bespoke reel that we have made by Gary Mills, Mills Tackle, and it's absolute work of art. This beautiful and lovely to hear that rasp of a reel. We've got a nice wide drum on it, so we can palm it to slow it down. Every single nut and bolt on that reel, absolutely every single nut and bolt, is made in his little workshop in Redditch. Beautiful. So it's just British engineering at its best. The man has done nothing, wait for it, nothing but make reels since he was a 16-year-old apprentice. Quite incredible, but his workmanship is beautiful, really beautiful. And to have this made in the UK, well, in a traditional manner, we have it anodised black. That's done in Manchester, and we can have anyone's name printed on there, laser printed on there, and it's a real work of art. A beautiful reel to fish with. It's definitely my favourite one now. It's superseded my earlier favourite, and it's just because of the drum, because the fact I can palm it. If I get a fish on, I can palm it like here to slow the thing down, because it's a nice wide drum on it. But just a beautiful reel. The rod that we're fishing with is a Cadence 14'6". It's an 8-9-10. Why is it an 8-9-10? Well, we have developed a range of rods where the 13'6" and the 14'6", anyway, we can interchange these two sections, the two sections above the cork section, and they are interchangeable, and we can make either softer or stiffer sections to suit your particular casting technique or the type of fishing that you might be doing, you know. So it's basically a bespoke rod made to suit you. The rod works with a nice 8-weight line, long Spey line, beautifully, and you can, well, you might not see from there, but you can see that there's an EVA handle on here, so the handle's black. That comes as a optional extra. So the standard rod comes with a cork handle as per normal, but when we started out in this project, James Robbins had said to me, well, do you want to try an EVA handle? I thought, no, I'm very much a traditionalist, i.e. the reel. You can hear it, plenty of noise about it. I'm a traditionalist. I don't like all this newfangled stuff. However, I said, well, if it's an optional extra, there's no harm in, I'll maybe give it a try, you know. So anyway, I can't believe it. It's now my go-to handle. At this moment, my hand feels warm. There's a warmth comes off this EVA. And what we did was we made the shape of the handle exactly the same shape as our traditional cork handle. There's nothing different there, but exactly the same shape. And I love it. It's now my go-to. Really cracking. It's warm in my hands. Even when it's cold, a cold wet day, this stuff keeps your hands warm. And although it maybe doesn't look the same, and lots of people will still like the cork much better, I have to say, I personally am a convertee. A convertee to the EVA. It sounds a wee bit French, that, actually. Convertee to the EVA, you know. No, that wasn't really French. That was Clouseau, you know. So we've still not caught a fish. John has burnt all the bank down here, so he's taken away all the high grass from last year by burning the bank, and that makes the bank really nice and easy to fish off. It's just such a beautiful place, and it's so well kept. We've got the King's Hut down there. The King's Hut is a just, I think it epitomises the gilly here, John Anderson. He's such a fabulous guy, and so passionate about both this beat and the tradition of salmon fly fishing. So John certainly wouldn't be one to be looking for an EVA handle, because he still fishes with a cane rod. He really likes fishing the cane rod. I'm just going to come round here a wee bit, because I can't go through there. But yeah, he fishes with a cane rod and really enjoys that. So he's not going to go for any of this kind of stuff. But it's lovely standing watching him when the light's right, watching the line dripping off the wet dripping off the line as he's casting it out down through this dew pool. It's just something to behold. Really, really, really nice. But the King's Hut over there is just absolutely beautiful. He's got it all done up in the way that it would have been when King George V visited here. A beautiful ornate fireplace with all these old-fashioned lovely flies, tackle, just so beautiful. Really, really beautiful. It's a credit to him, you know, great guy. I think this will maybe be John's last season, actually. And if you've got a chance to fish, if it is John's last season, if you have a chance to fish with this man before the end of this season, grab it, because there might be some rods here at Tulchan in August, September time. Grab it, because you'll love every minute of it with the guy. He's just such a wealth of knowledge about this beat, about the river, and it's just the whole game of fly fishing, just amazing, really. And so, yeah, that's John. Oh, I've got myself in a funkle here. I've come onto the grass, and I've been managing my line the same way as I have when I've been in the water down there, and so that it's jumped up. So you have to, when you're managing running line, especially, this is really quite thin running line. Personally, it's not my own cup of tea. It's very thin. The Scandinavian guys really like this thin running line. I tend not to like it quite so much myself. But anyway, I have to just watch the way that this jumps up from the grass. I think I've caught something. I have caught something. It's popped off the hook now. It was a lump of weed. The dog. There we go. The dog, the brown dog, Rio, he sees when there's something different, and he knows if there's a fish on or something's happened with the line. His eye's never off the line, and I think it's really interesting. He's watching it there just now. I think it's really interesting because when I used to watch my father fishing, I would be really interested in how his level of concentration. There's always concentrating. Me, I'm a yap, as you'll have gathered from this wee clip. I tend to be a bit of a yap, and I don't concentrate in the way that the real great salmon fishers do, you know. But anyway, I enjoy salmon fishing for what I enjoy from it. I enjoy the casting, I enjoy the surroundings, I enjoy being with my dogs. And if it's not the same as the guy that concentrates and gets his enjoyment from that, hey ho, it's all about your enjoyment, your personal enjoyment. It might not be the same choice of fly as Joe Blogs, but what about it? I really like it, you know. So anyway, there we go. So there was a wee trick there when it's windy downstream to catch your fly with over the rod to check it. So I'm fishing a heavy tube there, and that's on a sinking tip. I'm going to show you how to do that again, just so you don't think that was a mistake. So you come up here and and just catch the fly over the rod to just give it a wee check, you know. And this is usually when the dog grabs a hood out, of course. There we go. Fly's fine. Dog's now in my line, and everything will be everywhere, but I think he has it round his foot. Aye, that's about right. Oh, and some of John's banks on there as well. There we go. Right, doggies. Piss off. Now go on, bugger off. Get out of my way. Still got half a John's bank stuck to it. You ever wish that you shouldn't have shown somebody something? So this has got looped round, and there we go. Now we're good. Good to go again. So yeah, that's it. So nice cast, and I'm going to fish this all the way right down. I'm going to change the angle of the camera, and I'm going to fish it all the way right down into the tail. Andrew's fished over at the other side there, and probably enjoyed that. I fancy that other side. I think it's running a wee bit fast over at this side, but John would tell me whether it's right or wrong. It feels a wee bit fast, but anyway, we shall see. Might slow down a wee bit here in front of the King's Hut, possibly. Anyway, and that's me pulling the sinking line because it's much deeper under our feet here. I'm making a very, very slow lift of the sinking line, and I'll talk much more about that when I change the angle of the camera so that you can see what I'm doing with the lift of the rod. But anyway, there she goes. So that's the first half of the pool done. I've changed the camera angle. Lovely, that noise. Eh? It's funny because the dog's now looking at the line. He's thinking, because he associates that noise with a fish on. Yeah. Yeah. There we go. Lovely cadence reel, beautiful, absolute work of art, brilliant. So there we go. It wasn't a swallow, by the way. This was like a Snelda type fly. Swallow must be on the other road.